السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله صلوات الله وسلامه عليه. أما بعد، فإن خير الكلام كلام الله، وخير الهدى هدى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم، وشر الأمور محدثاتها، وكل محدثة بدعة، وكل بدعة ضلالة، وكل ضلالة في النار. Allah mentioned in the Quran concerning the Kalim of Allah and the tremendous Rasul Musa salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi. وَلَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا مُوسَى بِآيَاتِنَا أَنْ أَخْرِجْ قَوْمَكَ مِنَ الظُّلُمَاتِ إِلَى النُّورِ وَذَكِّرْهُمْ بِأَيَّامِ اللَّهِ إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِكُلِّ صَبَّارٍ شَكُورٍ. Verily we sent Musa with our signs, and we commanded him and told him, take all of your people, Musa, and take them from the depths of darkness of the dhulumat and bring them into the light with these signs that we gave to you. Allah said, verily in that thing that happened, and remind your people, Musa, of the days of Allah, the ayyam of Allah. Verily in that is a sign for people who have shukr, and for those individuals who have sabr. The days of Allah as it relates to Musa and Bani Israel is that Bani Israel had to remember the difficulty that they dealt with when they were in bondage under the yoke of the oppression of Fir'aun. He used to keep their daughters alive and he used to kill their sons. And he did with them what he wanted to do with them, and he put them to very serious, tough trials and tribulations. Remember the days of Allah, and remind your people of the days of Allah, Musa, when Allah sent against Fir'aun and those Egyptians all of those ayat, the naml, the qamal, all of that, the blood, the frogs, the lice. Remember when you people were living in Egypt and Allah sent those ayat in order to free you from your oppressor. Remember and remind them of those days, Fir'aun, Musa, salawatullahi wa salamuhu. Remind them, Musa, that when Allah saved you from Fir'aun and you were in the wilderness, Allah provided for you manna and salwa that came from the skies. Remember them and remind them what happened at the mountain of Tur and the mountain of Sinai. This is what the situation was with Bani Israel, the days of Allah. They had their days that they had to remember, they had to take lessons from it, and they had do's and don'ts about those days. Similar to them, in this religion, we have the days of Allah. The Muslim has to be aware of these days, like the sacred 4 months, one of which Rajab just left us yesterday. So throughout that month, at one time or another, during these 4 sacred months, the Muslim has to try to be a better person. He has to try to do better, do more good, and to make tawbah, not to disobey Allah in those months, and not let the month come and go and he's living in that month and he doesn't think about it at all. وَذَكِّرْهُمْ بِأَيَامِ اللَّهِ. Remind them of the days of Allah, those 4 sacred months. The month of Muharram, and the 10th day of Muharram, Ashura, and what happened on that day. We have to remind ourselves when these days come, the Imam, the father in the house, the sheikh who's teaching, the brother with his friend, the sister with her friends, with our children, we have to remind ourselves of these days. Like the place in Mina, Arafat, Muzdalifah, all of those are from the ayam of Allah. You have to remind yourselves of that time when you were not married and how your life was when you were not married. And then Allah, He blessed you when you got married. Those are from the days of Allah as it relates to you. The time when you first had children, the days of Allah. So today's khutbah, inshallah, is dealing with reminding the community of these special days of Allah, in that today is the first day of Sha'ban in this year. And Sha'ban is a significant month in Islam. It means something to the Muslim. There are Muslims who are like Christians in their behavior and Jews in their behavior, in that they don't know anything about the days of Allah as it relates to their religion. There are Muslims who are like that. They know nothing about Sha'ban and other than Sha'ban. They may know about Ramadan, they may know about that, but Sha'ban for some of them is hidden. Sha'ban and its virtues and its importance shouldn't be hidden from the regular Muslim. He has to know Sha'ban is the 8th month of the Islamic calendar. And Sha'ban is not a sacred month. But although it's not a sacred month, it is a month there where there are do's and don'ts in it. It's a month that you have to do certain things, and there are certain things you can't do, and there are things that you should do. And the Prophet ﷺ illustrated all of that and spoke to us about it, and therefore we're reminding you, inshallah. One of the companions, Usama ibn Zayd, may Allah be pleased with both of them, he said, I used to look at the Nabi ﷺ and I observed and saw that after Ramadan, he would fast all of Ramadan. But the next month that he fasted more than any other month was the month of Sha'ban. He used to fast the month of Sha'ban more than any other month with the exception of Ramadan. So I wanted to know. I say, Ya Rasulullah, why do you fast so many days in this month of Sha'ban? What is it about Sha'ban? Did something happen in Sha'ban? Was Adam created in Sha'ban? Did Allah reveal the Quran in Sha'ban? What's special about Sha'ban? There are a lot of special things about Sha'ban. None of what I just mentioned. He says, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, ذَاكَ شَهْرٌ بَيْنَ رَجَبٍ وَرَمَضَانَ يَغْفِرْ عَنْهُ كَثِيرٌ مِنَ النَّاسِ. That is a month that is between Rajab that just passed and Ramadan that's coming. And Sha'ban is between them. And it is a month that most people are negligent concerning this month. And Sadaqa Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And this is why we should remind each other about our duties of this month and this importance of this month. People are not aware of the importance of the month and what Allah has prepared for the believers as a result of the month. And instead of doing things that are not permissible, like Shab Barat, On the 15th night of Ramadan, where people are doing things that have nothing to do with the religion, we should focus on what's been established. He said, this is the month in which the deeds of the people, they go up to Allah. They're good deeds. They go up to Allah. He said, and when my deeds go up to Allah, I want them to go up in this month while I'm fasting. Now listen, this is important. Ummat al-Islam. The deeds that people do during the course of their lives, no deed is going to pass by and Allah not record it. The angel is recording every kalima and every haraka and every movement. Even thoughts that you have. As long as you don't talk about it. If you talk about that thought and it comes out of your mouth, it's going to be written down. And they're written down at 3 different times. One time is yearly. All of the deeds that the people did from one Sha'ban to the next Sha'ban will be lifted up to Allah every year at that time, in the month of Sha'ban. Yearly. On a weekly basis, our deeds go up to Allah on Thursdays and Mondays. Every Monday and every Thursday, whatever deeds we've done during the course of the week, they go up to Allah. And that's why the Prophet says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when my deeds go up to Allah on Mondays and Thursdays, I want to be fasting. So it's one of the reasons why he fasted Mondays and Thursdays. So sanawiyan, every year, annually, the deeds go up. Second time is during the course of the week. Weekly, the deeds are going up to Allah. And then the third time is every single day, people's deeds go up to Allah, as the Prophet said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The slave will do deeds during the course of the day, and Allah will raise them up to him before the night. And the deeds that he does in the nighttime, Allah will raise those deeds up to him before the day. So this is one of those times. Concerning the fasting of the month of Sha'ban, what's the wisdom? There are a lot of wisdoms. One of the wisdom is what that hadith just said. My deeds are going to go up in that month, he says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and I want to fast. Another important wisdom behind it is, some of us hardly ever fast, because fasting is not wajib. And one man came and said, Ya Rasulullah, if I pray 5 times a day, and that's it, and I fast the month of Ramadan, and that's it, and I make halal halal and haram haram, will I go to Jannah? He said, yes. He said, wallahi, that's all I'm doing. That's all I'm doing. That hadith is an encouragement to only do that, but it goes to show if a person sticks to the 5 prayers, sticks to Ramadan only, that's what's wajib. So from the wisdom of fasting during this month is to prepare yourself for Ramadan. Because if a person doesn't fast, and then he starts fasting the first day of Ramadan, sometimes he is hit and he's afflicted and affected with headaches. He has that grumpy mentality and demeanor. He doesn't act like a person who's fasting because he's walking around mean and upset because he's not used to fasting. But if he fasts the month of Sha'ban, he'll prepare himself and it won't be a shock to his body. And that's the rahmah of the Nabi Ana sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the rahmah on this deen. Fast more in this month. You put yourself in a position not to be affected or afflicted with what happens to the human being when he doesn't eat. It's not his fault. He's just in a bad mood because he didn't eat. So prepare yourself. From the benefit and the wisdom of this month is the worship in Islam. If you look at the 5 arkan, other than the shahadatain, which is in your heart. But if you look at the 4 arkan of actions, all of them have things that you do before them. They're the ones that's wajib, but you do things before them. It's from the Sunnah. So you pray this prayer of al-Jumu'ah or Dhuhr, but there are Sunnah prayers that you pray before, the Nawafil, Sunnah prayers that you pray after. There's hikmah in that. The zakat. You pay your zakat in Ramadan or whatever the month you pay your zakat. But during the course of the year, you're giving zakat, you're giving sadaqah. Like we're asking you in this community, men and women, to start giving, donating generously for Ramadan. Because we have to get water. We have to feed the people. We're going to use more of the electricity. We're going to use more of the water. There's going to be more bills. So I know in Ramadan you're going to pay your zakat that is wajib. I know that. But there is sadaqah that you give before that. Similar to it is hajj. You make umrah before hajj. And I tell you from experience, if you never made hajj before, and then you go to hajj for the first time, it's your first time, you never made umrah ever, hajj is going to be a little bit more difficult because you don't know what to expect. But when the person performs umrah first before the wajib and the farid of hajj, it's easier. He knows what to expect. And the same thing with Sha'ban. The Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam will fast these days in Sha'ban in preparation, and also Sha'ban is like the nawafil that you do before Ramadan. Last thing I want to mention, and this is critical. Allah will say to the angels, Yawm al-Qiyamah, look at the fast of my slave, his fast of Ramadan. Let's look at what he did and how did he fast Ramadan. Did he fast the real fasting of Al-Islam, watching his tongue? Or did he fast where he was just fasting, but he didn't practice abstention from things that go against fasting? Allah will say to the malaika, if there are deficiencies in the fast of my slave, then add on to those deficiencies his nawafil. So if you're fasting the month or the days of Sha'ban, they will help to make the takmeel of what you messed up and what you did wrong in concerning the wajib prayer of Ramadan. Now, there are some things we have to understand concerning the do's and the don'ts of this month. The Prophet mentioned in an authentic hadith, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, إِذَا انْتَصَفَ شَعْبَانُ فَلَا تَصُومُوا. He said, if Ramadan, hey, my man, you with the telephone, my man, may Allah bless you. Akramakallah. He says, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, if the 15th day of Sha'ban comes, do not fast. Once the middle of Ramadan, the middle of Sha'ban comes, don't fast. Now, I have to be honest with you. Some of the major scholars of Islam said this hadith is weak, like Imam Ahmed and Ali Madini, and they are mountains in knowledge. But no human being is ma'asum except the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and we ask Allah to bless them for their ijtihad. There are other scholars who are major scholars say this hadith is authentic. It's an issue of ikhtilaf. And you've heard about that, and you will continue to hear about it. We don't make wala and bara on these issues. You take the side that you want and you keep it moving. From those who Imam said that the hadith is authentic, Hasan, Al-Imam al-Tirmidhi, Al-Imam al-Tahawi, Al-Imam al-Hakim al-Naysaburi, Ibn Hibban al-Busti. These people say this hadith is authentic. Ibn Abdul Barr. So some said it is, some said it isn't. But the point that I want to make, inshallah, if you are fasting and you intend to fast all of the days of Sha'ban or a lot of the days of Sha'ban, when you get to the 15th, stop fasting. And you stop fasting because of that hadith. But there are some people, although that hadith is there, some people can continue to fast after the 15th. One person who continues fasting, the one who says, I don't accept that hadith, it's weak. You fast all you want then. The second person who continues to fast is the man who fasts Mondays and Thursdays all year long. So he doesn't have to stop fasting on the 15th because he fasts Mondays and Thursdays all year long. So when he comes to Sha'ban, he continues to do it. The third person is the one who prays or fasts the fast of Dawood. 1 day on, 1 day off, 1 day on, 1 day off for his entire life. So after the 15th, he continues to do 1 day on, 1 day off. The Prophet mentioned, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, لا تقدموا رمضان بصوم يوم ولا يومين إلا رجل كان يصوم صيام فليصمه. No one should fast a day or two before Ramadan because you're in Sha'ban. Ramadan is going to be in 2 days, 1 day. You shouldn't fast on those days. He said, none of you should fast a day or 2 days before Ramadan, except the individual who he used to always fast, always, like 1 day on, 1 day off, or every Monday and every Thursday. And if those days fall before that day, then it's something that is permissible, inshallah. Last thing that we want to mention about Sha'ban, and we'll continue this during the course of the week, bi'idhnillah, and tonight, is what we have to remind our sisters of, and remind them of the days of Allah. Part of the days of Allah are those days in which a Muslim woman is on her period. Akramakum Allah wa tahharullah ayyamakum. The days that the woman is on her period, those are days that Allah told her, do this and don't do that, and do this and don't do that. So she has to be connected to know what she's doing and what's allowed. So concerning Sha'ban, our mother Aisha, may Allah be eternally pleased with her and with the rest of the wives of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and all of his companions. She said, I used to not make up my days of fasting that I owed as a result of my periods. Sallamakumullah. I would have my periods, so I owed days. When the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was about to perform Hajj and do the tawaf, he saw Aisha crying. He said, what's wrong with you? She said, my periods came, so I can't make tawaf. And she was sad that she couldn't do the good deed. He told her, don't cry. That is the sunnah of Allah in the daughters of Adam. So the fact that this period will come to her, it doesn't mean anything that she still can't be religious and can't get the good deeds by doing things other than making tawaf, other than praying. She could do so many other things. In Sha'ban and Ramadan, she shouldn't stop. But the point is, I did not, she said, I could not make up my fast until Sha'ban. She would not allow Sha'ban to come and go, except that she made up all of the days that she was owing Allah. So we say to the women here, the sister shouldn't be a person. She's trying to practice, and she's a good person. She has hijab. She makes halal, halal, haram, haram. But in the bab of her period, she's maftuna. She doesn't fast one Ramadan. She doesn't make those days up. Then another Ramadan, another Ramadan. And now she has about 10, 15, 20 Ramadans on her head. She doesn't even know how many days she owes. And it's impossible almost for her to figure that out. So we say to the new revert sister, we say to the young sisters, we say to you, keep those days that you owe where you can manage them. And don't let another year come and you don't take care of the days that you owe. But if the woman owes days, she should try to get those days behind her in the blessed month of Ramadan, and there's no blame on her. No one can say to her, what did it take you so long for? Why were you wasting time? Because it is a window of opportunity that Allah gave the lady. Why did Aisha take so long to make up her days? Why? Because she was on the computer, on the internet, social media. She was just visiting people, making ghiba and namima and tharthara. Is that why? No. She said the reason why I didn't make them up until Ramadan, until Sha'ban, is because I used to be in the khidmah of Rasulullah. I used to take care of him. So I would not fast, so that I would always be ready for whatever he needed me to do for him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She said, Ya Rasulullah, if a lady makes halal, halal, haram, haram, prays 5 times a day, fasts all the days of Ramadan, and listens to her husband when he goes, she go to Jannah, he swore and said she'll go to Jannah. So she was in the service of her husband. So we want to remind the sisters, inshallah, in this month right now, starting right now, you have to start trying to make it up your days. But remember that fasting on Friday is not permissible unless it's a fast that is wajib, and you're going to do that. If you're going to fast on a Friday, it is wajib for you to fast that Thursday before, or it's wajib for you to fast that Saturday. As for the woman who's doing her obligatory makeup fast, she can fast on Friday alone, because it is wajib. It is wajib upon her to do that fast. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ونسأل الله تعالى التوفيق. الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا وطيبا مباركا فيه، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. I just want to repeat one point, Ikhwani. One of the good things about Masjid As-Sunnah, and there are quite a lot of good things about the Masjid, is that in the month of Ramadan, the people here seem to understand that as Muslims, we have to take our existing Islam to another level. We have to take it up a notch or two or three with what is ma'qul and what is within our abilities. I'm asking you people here today, be responsible for the community in the month of Ramadan. More people are going to come to this masjid who normally don't come, and that means it's going to be heavier on us. We need your assistance. We need your assistance so that you can get the reward. And from the assistance that we need is the monies, more sadaqah to help the community, giving water, giving dates. Anyone who breaks the fast of a person will get that reward himself. And he didn't even fast. She has a period, so she's not fasting. But she was responsible for a date that someone ate. She'll get the reward for that. Fasting, and she didn't even do it. Those people who have parents who don't fast, elderly people who are not fasting, and you want to pay your zakatul fitr, and you want to pay, then we say, pay that stuff. Also, we feed people in this masjid every single day throughout the month of Ramadan. Some of the people who are being fed are people who are homeless sometimes, Muslims. Also, some young Muslims who are struggling, so they come. We're asking you, from the best ibadat in Islam, from the best rewards is feeding people. So if you're interested in feeding the community on a particular night, there is a list. All you have to do is put your name there, put the number where we can contact you from, and you stick to that. Because if you don't stick to it, on the day that you were supposed to bring that food, if something happens, the people are going to be in a bit of a hardship. Inshallah, I'm not going to die. You're just going to say something happened and everybody's going to eat the dates and that's it. But if you give a day, you pick a day, then we're asking you to stick with that date. So every time I come to this community and I ask you brothers and sisters to give more money, we're happy and impressed to see that you do it. We're doing that today on the first day of Sha'ban in preparation for Ramadan, inshaAllah Azza wa Jalla. May Allah Ta'ala cause this Sha'ban to be a blessed Sha'ban for us and a blessed preparation for the blessed day of the first of Ramadan. And may He cause Ramadan to come to us and we're all having good health, spiritual health, physical health, mental health, religious health. And we ask Allah Ta'ala in these days of Sha'ban that He gives us the tawfiq to get our kids to understand the importance of Sha'ban. There's a young girl in this masjid. She's with the family of this masjid. Her name is Asiya. Asiya. Nice hijab, nice adab, nice akhlaq, nice kalam, mashallah. We ask Allah Ta'ala to make Asiya better than what she is and to make our daughter similar to Asiya and even better than that. So this is the month where we prepare for the big month. Also, I want to mention, because people are close to me, my man Easy E had a baby recently, called him Bilal, the newest member of our community. They're special. We want you guys to make dua for our little nephew Bilal and anybody else who had a baby. May Allah have rahmah upon our dead, and may Allah Ta'ala have rahmah upon our sick, and may Allah bless the people of Gaza. Those people who have died, may Allah Ta'ala make them shuhada and put them in the highest part of Al-Jannah. And those people who are maimed and those people who are messed up, may Allah give them a reward that they won't remember any of this books that they had to go through in this dunya. Someone asked me, are we going to make salat janazah for the ghaib of the shuhada in Gaza? I said, no, we don't do that, because they already prayed on them over there. And if we open up that door, we'll have to make Salat al-Ghaib every time something happens across the globe. What about the Muslims in Lebanon? What about the Muslims, the Uyghur Muslims? What about the Muslims in wherever? So we'll always be doing that. The people who prayed over there, inshallah, that's enough for them. And it's kifaya on us. But nonetheless, we take this time in this first day of Sha'ban. Our Muslim brothers in Palestine, how is Ramadan going to come to them? And those people destroyed their land. Every time I see that image in my head about how they systematically destroyed those people's land, and then you're going to come and tell me about democracy, I just have a problem getting my head around taking your words. You destroyed those people's land and you knew what you were doing. Genocided those people, you knew what you were doing. But now what we have to do is we have to make dua for our brothers. And we make dua for the special Palestinians who are here and their families are there, that Allah Ta'ala makes it easy for you to make a tahammul of what has happened. Aqim as-salat. Yarhamakumullah.